Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Tugboat.
Gary Rhodes, everybody.
Are you Diesel?
No, remember Tugboat used to... just because you look like him. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
And this is our Ring of Honor show for the week. We'll go right into the hot opener for the week.
Before we get into the matches, I want to ask your opinion on it, of the commentary we had with Prince Nana.
I enjoyed it.
I don't know, I thought it was lackluster.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to that.
Hey, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it as we go through. I just wanted to ask you your opinion first. It was getting on my... I was wondering...
Well, you're not... You haven't been a fan as long as I have. It fit Nana's character, so...
Okay.
Anyway, the first match of the night was pretty much a dream match. Michael Elgin versus Carl Machine Gun Anderson.
Loved it.
This, I don't know how many matches Carl Anderson's had in America. I know he's had a few, but not a whole lot. He's more of a Japanese wrestler. I like you said, I know Gary, you were super impressed. You like Michael Elgin more than I do anyway. I thought it was an amazing match myself. I think
it was a great showcase match. This was a pay-per-view worthy match. As far as I'm concerned, as far as Ring of Honor television, this is the best television match I've seen from Ring of Honor.
I got a question on this. Now that he's got wins over top-tier Ring of Honor talent like Michael Elgin and Roderick Strong, do you see them? Do you think they're building for Carl Anderson to come in there and have a run? I mean, usually when they showcase somebody, they might let him win one, but they'll lose the other.
I honestly think the guy should have a run. If
they
depending on the deal they can work out with
New Japan,
I think I'd be all for it. I mean, the guy, fans are behind him. For a guy that's wrestled a handful of matches in America, the fans knew his gimmick.
This is the Ring of Honor fans, so they watch a lot of Japanese wrestling as well.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, the guy wrestles a good, strong style.
I thought it was a great match. They were perfectly fit together. I actually like this more than his versus Roderick Strong, which, that's a lot coming from me because I love Roderick Strong.
I think these two guys complemented each other's style a lot better than him and Roderick. And I like Roderick too.
There was a good 5 minutes of the match where they were just destroying each other with power move after power move, gut wrench suplexes, German suplexes, power bombs, spinning back fists. Anderson wins it with the Ace Crusher, which for you fans that aren't familiar is the original name of the Diamond Cutter or the RKO. It was invented by
John Laryngitis.
When he was going by Johnny Ace. And
I mean, when you look at it, Japan is a good building stone for wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
You look at some of the guys that wrestled over there that made big names for himself. Johnny Ace. Johnny Ace wasn't really.
He was a hell of a wrestler in his time.
But we never really got the respect he deserved here. The fans respect the wrestlers over there so much different than we do over here at that point.
Look at Tensai / Giant Bernard. Giant Bernard is a legend over there, and he's a dancing goof here.
Well, Stan Laird Hansen.
Well, he's a legend both places.
Yeah, but over there he's a god.
Well, so is Terry Funk.
But. Oh yeah. Well, you look at your boy Mick Foley.
Yeah. Let's get back on track with this.
Well, you talk about the Japan.
You talk about your Psalms and your.
Okay. But this match here, I was actually hoping it would have went the whole show.
Yeah.
Because that's the way it looked to me. Didn't it look like that to you?
Well, it went about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was solid. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would have been okay with an hour-long show as well. I mean, if anybody's going to pull off a one-match show, it's going to be Ring of Honor.
I think Elgin, even losing, benefited from this match.
Oh yeah, I mean, how can you not learn from a guy with the experience that Anderson has?
And there's not that much of an age difference. It's just, over there...
He has a lot more experience.
Over there, you just got a lot more matches under your belt.
I mean, when the guys, wrestling guys like the Great Muta and Chono and guys like this that are legends on the sport already.
No, we were talking about the Ace Crusher, the one that Carl Anderson puts on. I think he puts it on just as good as Orton does.
I mean, it's not a hard move to do.
It's just all of yourself. It's all in the way you can sell it.
Yeah.
You can do a shitty boom, or you can. He really puts a lot behind it for a guy that they say weighs 240, which I'm saying he's like 255, 260.
You know who does a really good one? Homicide.
Yes.
Homicide. I think Homicide's one of the best. Which, where is Homicide, by the way? He should be somewhere. Anyway, back to the show. Carl Anderson goes over, which brings us to our next match, our women's match of the night, because they're not divas, they're not knockouts, they're just women wrestlers, how they should be. We have Mischief versus a newcomer,
Davey Ann.
Davey Ann, that's how you pronounce it. Thank you, Gary. And it started off, what, about a minute and a half, 2 minutes before Veda Scott came out and attacked Mischief. If you remember a couple weeks back, Mischief misted Veda Scott in an interview.
I like the fact that this happened. I mean, I'm not big on run-ins, but I like the fact because they didn't forget about the mystic.
Yes. And the thing of it is with this, I think this served as a buffer between that first match and the next match.
Well, the next match was
just as good as the first match, if not better.
Oh, I couldn't judge. We
had Kyle O'Reilly versus Davey Richards in one hell of a match. Kyle O'Reilly is someone that's learned under Richards and has went around with Richards and, you know, rode with him and everything. And,
well, I know you're really high on O'Reilly.
Oh, I think he's absolutely awesome. I mean, the guy is picking up how to become a wrestler from guys like Davey Richards and Bobby Fish and Eddie Edwards, and he is getting right on top of it. I mean, this guy, I see him being a future Ring of Honor champion. And him and Bobby Fish are the tag team champions right now, and I love them as a tag team. Bobby Fish is a very underrated wrestler, and he's been someone that's toiled around on the indies, didn't even really get a shot in Ring of Honor until this year. And, you know, Davey Richards, for as big as his head is, as good as he thinks he is, if he's as 1/10 as good as he thinks he is, he's pretty much Bret Hart.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, Davey Richards is a very, very skilled wrestler, and I think, and I've said this to you several times, the only thing that I think holds Davey Richards, in my opinion, from being better is his attitude.
Well, if you take a look at Davey Richards' past, he's a fan of the Dynamite Kid, same as Chris Benoit.
Yeah.
I think the only difference between the three of them is Benoit didn't have the. I mean, don't judge by what his criminal actions were with his family, but in-ring ability, he was the best, one of the best technicians ever. But he didn't walk around acting like he was. You know,
well,
and you know that's the difference between the three of them. Richards is just taken right after Dynamite.
I think Richards, and you know, this is all hearsay. He could be a great guy, and it could just be he's rubbed a couple people the wrong way. But from what I understand, he's a real prick to work with, which that's okay too. I mean, he puts on amazing matches. That's all that really matters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Shawn Michaels is probably the biggest prick in the history of wrestling, but when he was being a prick, he was putting on an hour-long Iron Man match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you got to be a prick. Ric Flair was a prick at the height of his career.
I had a friend of mine. I don't know if he's watching. He's a follower of the show. His brother did some moving. He was a moving guy, delivered furniture, and this was when Flair was living in Tampa. This was back in like maybe 91, 92, and he said Flair was the biggest asshole he ever dealt with. But then you kind of look at Flair now. Everybody loves the guy. I just think he's calmed down, mellowed down with age.
Well, you know, sometimes. You got to imagine at that time everybody was coming at him wanted something from him too.
Well, I think a lot of his personal problems humbled him, and I think with Richards, maybe if Richards, hopefully, you know, I don't say hopefully have personal problems, but maybe with age he'll humble a little bit.
Exactly. But he's actually very good, one of the best in-ring talents in the world, and Kyle O'Reilly isn't that far behind, and they put on one tremendous match. Between the two actual matches that happened, I mean, this was an awesome show. Especially, depending on where you've seen it, it came, some places played it on Saturday before the internet pay-per-view, and some places you get it on Sunday, which I thought it was a great show to sell you on the pay-per-view. Look how good our product is. Hopefully, a lot of people got it before the pay-per-view and decided to buy the pay-per-view, which we won't talk about now because the pay-per-view is actually weeks behind the show.
Yeah.
And they haven't announced it on the show for the people that just watch the show. But I thought it was a spectacular show. Want to go right into the ratings on it, Gary?
I'll go to the ratings.
Well, we go from 1 to 5. 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. I'm giving it a 5.
Solid 5. Like I said, even with the walk-in with Veda Scott, I think it made sense in that match. The Devine or Divine, whatever her name was, she was green. Davian, she was green. She was a year in the business. She's 18 years old.
Hey, she got on TV.
Exactly. That'll help her out.
I'll put it as some receipts.
Exactly. We still on my shit there, Tony Schiavone. But like I said, I'm giving it a 5.
Yeah. I mean, it was the 2 actual matches were tremendous. I like to call it a buffer. We talk about this a lot. You want to build a pay-per-view where you have peaks and balances. That's why you put matches like that in there, or a show. Well, I thought it was amazing. I thought we had 2 high-quality matches in an hour's time.
Well, you look at the Elgin Anderson match. It was just building up, and it stayed up.
And just the brutality of it.
Exactly. It went down a little bit for the Mischief match, but it came right back up because Richards and O'Reilly just started like that. Richards just jumped out there and went after.
Well, you had the first match was just a powerhouse, 2 guys kicking each other's ass, and then the main event was 2 of the best technical wrestlers in the world doing what they do.
And O'Reilly's what, 22, 23 years old?
Oh, he's young. I mean,
this kid's got a bright future.
I think he's awesome. But overall, I thought, like we both said, a 5. This is probably one of the better Ring of Honor television shows that they've done. Probably one of the best wrestling shows that we've reviewed since we started doing our show.
Of that week, of the week of the show, I would say this was the best wrestling program on.
Yep.
Hands down, bar none. I wish the show was 2 hours long.
No spoiler, but I actually think this show was better than their pay-per-view. Right?
I was impressed. And the more I watch the show, the more I get impressed with the Ring of Honor product.
It's a great product. I mean, if you really like wrestling, and if you're watching our show, you probably do. If you've never seen Ring of Honor, I don't know why you're watching a recap show about Ring of Honor. But if you're just watching this because you like us, check out Ring of Honor. Check your local listings. They're on Sinclair Broadcasting, so it's not the same channel nationwide. You have to look and find them. But once you find them, it is worth it. Get on it. Start watching Ring of Honor. It's the way to go. I don't think they'll ever compete with the big 2, but they don't need to.
No. It's a better show.
Yeah. But basically, that's all I have. Anything you wanted to add?
That's it.
Well, my name is George Coles.
I'm Gary Rhodes.
And this has been Heel Heat.